and today's topic is understanding the home closing process. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Anna Atencio. I am the CEO of Propy Title, and we've got two guests today, one from Florida and one from California, separate sides of the state, or excuse me, the nation. We have Ivania Archivala. I'm so sorry I butchered that. And Jennifer Weston, who is from California. I'm going to ask you two to introduce yourselves and tell our audience a little bit about you. Ivania, you want to go first?
Sure. So my name is Ivania Archivala. I am with Keller Williams Reserve Palm Beach. And I started my real estate career in Colorado since 2016, and I am now fully in Florida. I moved in 2018. I focused Palm Beach County and Broward County, anywhere from luxury condos to single family homes, whether it is vacation or investment properties or first-time home buyer.
Very nice, very nice. Jennifer, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jennifer Weston. I'm the broker here for RFN Homes, which is a boutique brokerage located in Westlake Village, California. I service all of Southern California. I have a small team of 6 agents, and we're continually growing, looking for good agents. And I'm happy to be a part of this conversation today.
Well, great. Well, welcome both of you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we'll get right on topic. So let's discuss the closing process and understanding maybe some challenges that you have seen or heard in 2022. Either one of you want to take that?
I guess the challenge would be lack of clients. It was definitely a slower year than expected, and it's really been a real market shift. There was a lot of fraud that took place back in 2021, and we were discussing better ways on safeguarding our clients' interests as far as wires were concerned, and finding better technologies so we can ensure that the escrow process goes smoothly. So that was one of our challenges. Just wire fraud was such a big topic. So knowing Propy's team and your focus on trying to focus on technology and safeguarding our clients' interests is really important to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for bringing that up. How about you, Ivania?
Here in Florida, there's lots of wire frauds that happened, honestly, left and right. And one of the things I like about Propy is that I never have to have a wire transfer information in my email or, that everybody can have access to. An example that I can give about that is, I'm actually under contract for a property for one of my buyers. I'm on the buyer side. So I'm, we're using the seller's title company, and I am just, surprised just to see that they'll send wire information just without being encrypted or anything. And, I'm helping these buyers retiring, right? So it's easy for them that maybe a subject line could look the same, but it was just minor tweak. So one of the things I like about Propy is that I'll never have to worry about that. So that's one of my challenges that I've seen. It's just it really actually concerns me a big deal when I see that happening.
Right. I'm glad that you bring that up, because with our platform and using Web3 technology, we really have an enhanced environment for the closing process, where we've got a whole secure platform that not just closes on blockchain, but it also prevents any fraudsters from getting in to look at any of a buyer or seller's pertinent information. Even the last 4 of a social security number is not out there. Everybody's got their own folder. Nobody can see each other's data. the wire instructions, they do not get sent anywhere, either through a security platform or a an email. They just do not get sent out. They are embedded in our platform, and only the buyer has privy to see what those numbers are. So you as an agent wouldn't be able to see it, the seller wouldn't be able to see it, and nobody outside of the transaction. You've got to be invited in to be able to see what those wire instructions are. And that's huge, I think, for prevention of wire fraud, for the simple fact that, wire fraud is a multi-billion-dollar challenge that we have in the title industry. So trying to break that habit from the fraudsters, I think Propy is on top of that.
So yes, and that is kudos to you guys, I will say.
Yeah, for sure. What other challenges have you had in, say, the closing process, in escrow, where, you get a contract? We've got the smart contract through our Web3 platform. Tell me how it is that you have experienced anything from going from offer management, where you've got a smart contract, made offers, or even placed your listing on the platform. Can either of you speak about that?
Well, I would say some of the challenges I've had prior to using Propy was communicating between title, escrow, the lender, the other agents involved, and gathering all the information and having all the documents in one secure location. Or also, when it was a very busy time, having multiple offers and having to go through my email and seeing like 20 different emails and not knowing which one goes to what listing and what offer, and then searching for documents. So it's really helped having Propy as my storage system for a brokerage, because it's easier to communicate between all the parties.
That's awesome. Yeah, thank you for saying that. How about you, Ivania?
I will be honest, Anna. So here in Florida, it takes a little bit of I would say sort of like a little bit of education on my side, because the other party might not be too savvy, even just clicking on the link when sending an offer. If I am dealing with I'm selling a property in a 55 plus community, let's just say, they're older, the client, they're not technically savvy. The agent on the other side simply refuses, right? Because they're so used to doing things manually. So the challenge that I have for me is educating, and then on the other side is they may choose to use it, or the other agent can simply say, you know what, I'm just gonna sign it to you. I'm gonna have the seller or buyer sign it to you manually, and I'll scan it over to you. So what does that create? A little bit more steps on my side to having to upload it into the system. But I think it's just a process, and I think it's a matter of getting used to it as well, as the more that I do it.
Yeah, and I believe also that, if you do have an opposing agent, either the buyer or seller side, our customer success team is amazing. So if ever you need help in educating an opposing agent, please reach out to our success team, our customer success team, and they can help that agent get through any kind of humps or bruises that they're going through.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll help you do that. And the title side will also, if you've got a contract and your seller's agent or your opposing buyer's agent, needs help with their documents, we're happy to put those documents on the platform for you. So we make it so streamlined so that the agent can concentrate on their customer, which is your buyer or your seller. Because with them, there is, I've seen buyers and sellers so frantic because they don't understand. The consumer doesn't understand what a closing process is, how we go about doing it. Some agents don't understand it. So here we are with this brand new technology, And, agents who are in the Web3 space love it. But you're right, getting that education out to other agents and their clients who are the consumer, that is where we run into our challenge. But I will say this, our millennials, our Gen X, our Gen Zs, they love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
They understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the older, the older generation sees it as just another step, but they don't realize how once they actually implement it, it makes things so much easier and more secure too.
I was going to say that as well, and more secure.
Yeah, security is huge. And what they don't realize either is that when we record on chain, the way that blockchain works, I'm sure everybody who listens to us understands how blockchain works in really adding an additional layer of security for that buyer in their deed, that seller too, because we do provide a policy at the end of the transaction. Of course, we make sure that property is free and clear with any liens or encumbrances. And, moving through that, we do record on in the county, but closing on chain and placing that deed on chain, it is searchable by, putting it in the searchable menu. You can search it on any media and it's there forever. But the way blockchain works is it posts it out there, many, many different nodes. A hacker would have to know every single node that blockchain recorded to in order to hack into that. So explaining that to a consumer, some consumers are like, I don't want to know. I don't care. Just leave me away from blockchain. I don't want to know anything about it. So some people, our older generation, we just don't tell them. We just, let their agent know we're closing on chain. It's an added value to your client, and they love it. So some people we don't tell. Some people we do tell. We hype it up, and they're very excited about it.
I think it's pretty similar to back in the 80s or 90s when all we had were paper contracts, and we were forced to learn how to use an email. So, that's where the future is going, in my opinion. So I think it's something everybody's going to have to learn at some point.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I think that our entire platform, blockchain is probably the #1 source of security when it comes to real estate. That's my opinion. I think that a lot of people are jumping on board. We've got so many counties interested in knowing and learning what blockchain is. There's no pushback in legislation at this point in time. I think that they believe that blockchain is the way that we're going into the future. I know back, when Katrina happened, and, those folks are today having a hard time proving ownership of their home because their records got lost because they were all in paper form. Remember when we went from paper to digital?
Yes.
And so we had to scan everything in, and everybody, like the majority of the escrow officers, were lost because they needed a file. They just had to have that paper in their hand. And now, we moved to a paperless environment, right? So that was all on media, saved on media. But now with blockchain and having all those records on chain, the search is going to be easier. You're going to be able to know if there are any liens and encumbrances on that property. It's just going to be so amazing when we get there.
I have a question for you, Anna.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
So, let's say a deal is closed and it's recorded on the blockchain, it's recorded with the county, and there's that QR code, right? Where, only the people that were involved in that transaction have access to see all the paper trail, the history of everything. So let's say the new homeowner ends up putting their home on the market 2 years later. How do you go about transferring that QR code, the everything over to the new home buyer? I'm just kind of curious to know what kind of a process that looks like.
So so understanding it in a way that each transaction has its own QR code, just like in the county, when you record in the county, it provides you that long reception number. Have you seen a deed and then when it's recorded, it's got a reception number on it? Well, that's the same for the deed with the QR code on it. So the QR code has its own unique number, just like your social security number and your social security number. Everybody's got their unique holder for who it is that they are as an individual. Well, each transaction will have its own social security number, so to speak. And so when you go close on a new transaction for that buyer to sell now to a new buyer, they are now the seller, they go to sell, you get a brand new unique QR code for that next deed. And that starts the chain, just like in a normal process as you search in the county for those reception numbers.
Okay.
You still have a lot and block, you know, the lot and block that is, you know, tied into that home. It's going to be what it is, right?
Right.
Right.
So that's the identifier of that individual home or that property, because, you know, we also close commercial properties on chain. We close multifamily homes on chain, apartment complexes. I mean, everything that we can get our hands on to close, we're closing on chain. So what are some other things that you guys can tell me about the closing process that you've had some ups or some downs? Let's talk about the positive things. What have you seen that has been positive?
Well, positive. Well, we're closing. That's a positive.
Yeah, right. So do you feel or do you see that using, you know, Propy versus an older version of what you used in the past or title companies you've used in the past, and the transparency that the platform provides so that every party can see what is going on at the same time, and the streamlined process of all of that happening where everybody can see, okay, we're at this level, we're at this level, we're at this level. So you've got that timeline up on top. You know, I know how our platform works, and I've seen, you know, I've been in the business for 24 years, so I know some of the bad things that have happened, but, you know, getting into a streamlined process of the closing procedure, right, where you get an offer and you take it from that offer and you have to go through the contract, every step that is taking you along all the way to closing and funding and recording. So take your old way of doing business to now doing business on Propy. What are the differences?
Well, what I do like is, because I have closed something on a chain, is I just took the QR code and sent it to my clients and say, here's your entire file. As opposed to when I first started real estate, I had to basically hand them over a Bible of paper. And then it became thumb drives, and then I would lose a thumb drive or they would lose a thumb drive. And that was really complicated and difficult. I like how easy it is. Like, here's your QR code. I can text it, I can email it, and there you go. And escrow, and all the escrow documents are already there. Usually I'd have to call escrow and I'd say, can you please upload your documents? We need to audit the file. Or if I need to refer back to something from, say, a year ago, I could just open that QR code and every single document is in there. Right. So it really makes it easy. When I actually need something from the past, I can find it rather than having to dig into like my old broker vault or having to call the city, and the city has to go into their vault and find something. So it makes it very useful.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Thank you for bringing that up.
And the platform is, I find it user-friendly. I remember when I put my first listing there, and I was just like, oh, you just follow the prompts. And, you know, the icon of, like, if you have any questions, you can, the chat box, I should say. I think is a great platform for me here in Florida, because it's what I can see when the other person opens that email, right? When the other agent opens that email, when the offer is, presented and opened by their client or by the agent. So in that, to me, and sometimes, prior to that is I'll be submitting an offer, and I wouldn't know, or the other way around, I wouldn't know what happened because I'm still waiting to hear back from that other agent.
Right. And that brings up another key item that the Propy platform provides is anytime a document is uploaded, whether it is from title or, when the earnest money deposit, we'll go with that as an example. So when the earnest money deposit is placed in the platform, we allow those earnest money deposits to be made through the platform, so they come directly to our escrow account. Everybody then gets a notification, hey, the earnest money deposit has been made. And you can get it on your phone, your tablet, your computer. The buyer knows, the seller knows. There's no more calls that you have to make to the escrow officer and say, hey, did you receive the earnest money yet? Or, an email like, I haven't heard if, this earnest money has come in. So that is the power of smart contracts, where everything is just automated, goes all the way through. It takes care of so much of the work for you so that you can concentrate on your clients. You don't really need to call your escrow officer because the escrow officer is keeping you up to date through the platform. So that means that she can have some one-on-one time with you, one-on-one time with the buyer or seller if they choose to do so, or the buyer and seller, they can go on their merry way and just know in confidence that they're in with a real estate agent that is confident, and they are trusted to know that a trusted title company is taking them to the beginning and through the end in confidence through close. Yes, and securely. Money is safe.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the key thing, is that your money is safe. I think there was 2 incidents last year in California where someone did a wire transfer and someone somehow intercepted the email, and the wire transfer was about $90,000, and it went into this scam artist's account, and they were never able to retrieve it. And it was
That's
a
how
nurse.
they did it.
Yeah, and it was a nurse they saved for many years, and they basically just got screwed over, which was really awful.
It's heartbreaking. Buyers have lost life savings through wire fraud, purchasing property, and wire instructions being out there, just like Ivania mentioned earlier, when in Florida some of the title companies just throw their wire instructions out there. I know of a few agents that will physically take that piece of paper, print it out, print those wire instructions out and hand deliver them to their buyer because they want them to be protected. Well, with our platform, that's no longer needed. They just don't go anywhere. I can't emphasize that enough. I don't think buyers, and as agents, we all in our business have a fiduciary responsibility to take care of our clients. We also have a responsibility to take care of your buyer. So we want to educate them and let them know, here's, ABC 1, 2, 3 is no longer, it's just A. You hit a button and and it's done. There's no worry. And so, we have not gotten hacked. We haven't, in my 24 years, I have not been a victim, either personally or in business, in title and escrow, with wire fraud. And it's because we're just so careful. But it's easily, if it happens to you, people are ashamed, like they become ashamed. They are terrified. They don't want to let people know, oh my gosh, this happened to me. But it's so important that we get that message out to more people so that they realize it's a real thing and it can happen to any one of us.
Right.
Has it happened to either one of your buyers?
Thankfully
Thank
not.
God, no.
Yeah.
And
I'm
again,
very paranoid.
What's that?
and for me, I said, and no, it hasn't with me, but it's like, again, I used to deliver. I was one of those agents, deliver wire instructions to the buyer or the seller, even for the payoff from the proceeds, right?
Right.
That's another form that I get nervous about a seller receiving just via email, and their bank information is there for when they receive their proceeds too.
For sure, yeah. So, I want to tell the audience, we have some members in the audience. If any of you have any questions for any of us, please type it into the chat. I've got a message here from Ted Finkelman. He is a huge fan of Propy. We love Ted. Ted is on most of our webinars, and he is pro blockchain, and he makes a comment here that says blockchain is the future, and I have to agree wholeheartedly. I believe that's where we're going, just like you had talked about earlier, Jennifer, and saying back in the 80s when, I remember going all the way back to, gosh, what year was it? Yeah, it was in the 80s, and I was at the time I was in the military, and we used carbon paper.
Oh gosh, triplicates.
Yes. And so, we went through, the whole deal of carbon paper. We went through the dot matrix printers, and can you imagine, like, that is so dinosaur in my mind. From then to where we are today, like, in New Mexico, we had a plant there, and I remember walking in for the very first time to the basement, and it was probably about 600,000 square feet, or I'm sorry, 6,000 square feet. And there was rows and rows and rows and rows and rows of paper. And they were all indexed properly because that's how they searched for the next transaction that was going to come up. Well, we had the horrible task of placing all of that data onto scanning it in to save it to the cloud. But
wow.
With that happening, it's like, okay, somebody hacked into the cloud. So they lost all that data and had to go back to paper. So that's the beauty of blockchain, where it's immutable. It will never, ever be tampered with. It can't be changed. So it's pretty amazing. Blockchain is definitely our future.
Yeah,
anything else you guys want to discuss? We got about 3 minutes left, and if there's any questions that anybody else has to place into the chat, we're happy to answer. Ivania, any last comments?
I was going to say that, blockchain is sort of like the internet, right? When it first came out, sometimes people are intimidated, but then it's the future.
Oh, 100% agree. Yes.
Blockchain, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, and it's definitely the future. And you're right. We need to educate, educate, educate. How about you, Jennifer? Any closing comments?
No, I'm really glad I tuned into Propy, and I'm using it and implementing it in the business, because I know a lot of brokerages are not, and they're still operating in the archaic way, which is odd to me, because there's definitely an easier way, and I don't know why people are not open to it. I think it's just a matter of getting it out there and marketing it more to realtors and emphasizing the safety and ease of it. I think there's just an intimidation factor for some people.
I agree. Yes, because, I say education is, knowledge is power. And, for us to give the knowledge that we have, and we share that, you share it with one agent, that agent shares it with another agent, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And to get this out there, I speak about it every single day. We hold, classes sometimes. I mean, if either of you, anybody out in the audience, you need somebody to step on a Zoom, a live class, anything like that, we're happy to do that. You can reach me at anna@propytitles.com. Either of you want to send out your email address?
Absolutely. So thank you, Anna, for having us as well.
Yes, thank you, Anna.
And anyone can reach me at info@ivaniahomes.com or my cell phone, 561-325-8835.
Great, thank you. How about you, Jennifer?
I'm going to go ahead and input my email address, and if anyone wants to call me, feel free to as well. And thank you so much for everything.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining us. And I think that that will be the end of our webinar for today. Please join us next week. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye.